All right, I'm online. Just making sure if I'm audible, visible. Just a quick check. All right. Oops. I'm online. Just making sure very much online. If I'm audible, visible. Super. Just a quick check. Oops. I'm online. Making sure very much online. If I'm audible, visible. All right, guys. So there was two links got opened. Just making sure one link is good enough. Okay. So audible, visible, and let's see what we have got for this episode. We will be talking about um, again about adaptability in you know its why it's its depth and width about adaptability. And now in this episode, how do we stay flexible even during the stressful times? Because that's where our mind takes us for a ride, right? Um, a lot of restrictions, resistance within us, especially during stressful times. Uh, we are confused. We lack focus. We lack direction. So in emotionally charged moments, our intellectual components or intelligence gets blocked, right? It is important to handle the emotions during stressful times, regulate your emotions really well to be able to take a decision later. But during stressful times, how do we become adaptable or how do we be flexible, right? Where do we understand where is the need of adaptability, and how do we navigate those challenges using this power of adaptability? That is why we're going to use our logical brain, because the logical approach will give you a clarity and focus on what you need to focus on. What are the missing gaps that you need to fill in? And with your mental flexibility, we just saw another episode. The previous episode was about mastering that mental flexibility. You are first accepting the changes, and then you are allowing, you're willing to look at a change and act forward. So that will be the first. Acknowledging the change and accepting the change is the first step. So every episode that we are doing is all interconnected, right? I would highly recommend you to watch the previous episode, and you will understand why the series is, diving into a lot of angles dealing with a particular skill. So we started off with resilience, creativity, proactivity, emotional agility, empathy, emotional insight, um, problem solving. We just did not do one skill with one episode. Instead, we covered its breadth and depth to understand you as a person. You could be from a different walks of life, and how do you approach that particular emotional intelligence skill, especially when we are dealing with brain skills. You may be having a logical brain dominated, or somebody could be right brain dominated, where they need that innovation, that creativity, some freshness for them to get energized and walk upon. But for somebody, they need numbers to talk to them. They need facts and figures. So they are not worried about what's the emotions happening there. However, neither of it is not the only way. In fact, ideal way is to take the blend of both the logical data and the emotional data. And that is how you can be emotionally intelligent as well. So emotional intelligence can be learned in different route, but in this series we are dedicating to understand how we are going to use our own brain power, our own brain skills and talents, so that when we know how to tap in that power, inner strength, then it is easier for us to stay relevant and upgrade, rewire when it's required. But you need to have that kind of an awareness. Yes, this is what I am missing, or this is the strength in me. So if you have that awareness, then your choices becomes very informed choice, and it becomes a wiser decision for you to take action on. Right. On that note, you are watching Unlocking Emotional Intelligence Using Brain Skills, and we are on officially 64th episode, where we are, making sure that we are completing this 100 episodes, because um, there are a lot of benefits if you are able to, join me in the journey of walking through 100 episodes, talking about brain skills, left brain, right brain, how to activate both the brains, and what is the principles behind emotional intelligence. I give a lot of nuggets. Being a certified EQ consultant, I have a passion towards not only learning EQ and also practicing emotional intelligence, because I've done that mistake. I've, you know, got into burnout myself, emotionally, physically, mentally, and I don't want you to do the same mistakes. You may not necessarily be, there may be a lot of people who are watching this episode. I, get a lot of feedback that this episode is become a crash course for a lot of people, different walks of life. So that is why when I started this, I wanted to dedicate this entire series to busy moms like me. But although my heart goes out to women out there like me, but this skill as such, emotional intelligence as such, belongs to everybody, irrespective of any age, any culture, any background. Even a small kid, 6-year-old, needs to be taught how to be emotionally literate, because that wasn't there with us. Had we known about emotions, we would have definitely learned how to regulate emotions, and our decisions and our efforts and goals could have been achieved even more with at ease and grace. But it is what it is, and then we are here to reform education system. And as a parent, as a career person, as a business entrepreneur, as a leader, as a community leader, it is our responsibility to spread that awareness. Okay, so with the technology in place, let's make use of it. And this is all available at free of cost, so please make use of it. And if you find any of these episodes resonate really well with you, if you had found that aha moment, okay, please don't stop yourself sharing with somebody. Maybe they need, this message more than you. At this point of time, they needed this to hear this message. Maybe they are trying to navigate a difficult situation in their life, or some changes that they need to know how to, navigate that. So please be that light in the tunnel for them, and share this episode with them. And also, if it has resonated well with you, share that, press that like button, love button, and share some comments, so I'll get inspired reading your comments. Okay. With that note, I'm going to be starting to share what I have got today, and let's see what is the journey that we are going to be taking. Okay, just a second. I'm going to be opening the episode. Um, in the meantime, I want you to also, um, you know, if you have already had accessed, um, applied for emotional intelligence quiz bundles, make sure that you have given your email ID, correct email ID, because when it is um, ready for accessing, it is asking you to register with your email ID. And the moment you give your email ID, it's going to ask you to go through the payment, but don't do that. If you have already given me the comments in any of these episodes, just let me know. And all I need is your registered email ID. I'll be able to give you that free coupon code. And then with that, you'll be able to apply. All right. So with that glitch, let me show you what I've got for today, this episode. Okay. So so what we're going to see is how you can stay adaptable during stressful times, and how are you going to practice these common strategies that we are going to be discussing, which is something that anybody can use it. Okay, these are hacks, strategies, which gives you that you don't have to travel through the long route. That is why it's called hacks. And strategies are evergreen, because we're going to be talking about brain. And the brain functionality is common for everybody, right? Depending on the capacity, depending on the styles, it could differ. But strategy itself is common, and whatever works for you, you can take it, and whatever is not serving you, you don't have to. But the point is, have you taken that strategy and applied to it in your life or work or business or at family? Then that really makes sense, right? So listening to these episodes will give you the right kind of insights and awareness, but you have to apply it to see whether it's helping you or not. So we're going to be learning proven techniques for adapting to stress, and how do you manage emotional pressure with resilience and maintain your productivity. Sometimes, we may think that during the boardroom discussions, we don't have to deal with emotions. No, you are human by yourself. Even though you don't want to, you want to ignore other people's emotions, you don't want to get biased, or you don't know how to deal with other people's emotions. What about you? You have your own, emotional regulation has to happen. So, are you aware of it? What are you responding? So how is your energy level? What are your regulation techniques that you use when when your blood pressure rises up? How do you regulate it? And when you're not feeling fulfilled, do you even know that indication? And when you talk to somebody, do you know that you're intimidating, or are you providing the warmth of others towards others? Do you exactly know when you talk? Is it landing in them? And do you even understand an emotional impact of your responses to another person? You may be a leader, you may be a manager, you may be a technical person, but if you are dealing with people, it is important, right? So, and then we're also going to be talking about a case study. My favorite personality, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He's called Cool Captain. Let's see what he has got to be demonstrated using the power of adaptability, and what are we going to learn from his personality. Okay, so let's understand adaptability. There are different episodes, and we are speaking about the same what do you call it? Same kind of strategies. But I want to essentially let you know that if you are dealing with adaptability during stressful times, it could have a different approach. Let's see what it is. Your left brain during the stressful times is letting you create a structured plans. Okay, you're going to be using that, and with that, you're going to be ensuring that you can regulate that stress. But without a plan in your mind, all you will do is already it is emotionally charged. Okay. And of course, when we are in stress, we might not be able to focus on creating any plans as such. But it is important to forecast the consequences as well, right? So or it is important to source out the alternatives when you're emotionally charged. During that moments, maybe you're not able to focus, but before and after, it can still be charted out, right? Only then you can come out of that stress. If any stress is going to be prolonged, it might take you to exhaustion or depression. So it is important for us to regulate the stress. First of all, identify. You should be able to label that emotions in you, that you should know that when you are getting stressed, when you are getting triggered, then you can manage it. But if you do not have that awareness, you cannot manage it. You know, it'll only explode. It'll take you to that level of life will hit you hard. Maybe it manifests in physical illness, right? It's a research driven, backed up data that suppressed emotions, or emotions which are not regulated or addressed, it is getting manifested as physical illness. Okay, there's a person called Louis Hay who has done an extensive research about how emotions gets manifested in physicality. So that might be an indication. Or somebody could have, their business goals are not fulfilling, maybe because they're charged up, right? Emotionally charged up. It could be a fight, simple fight at home, but it has expressed through them during that situation. They may not be even aware of it. Maybe their tonality or the way they are approached, their breathing could be an indication. Uh, the individual may not be aware, but that is why it is important to bring that self-awareness. So the self-awareness is the very first foundation skill or step in, if you want to be emotionally intelligent. So that way, now you need to understand every time, because the brain is divided into two hemispheres for everybody. Okay. All of us have brains, and all of us have this left brain and right brain. Okay, activated in us. But it depends on us which one of it we're using at maximum. So that is what is determining your behaviors and other things. Now we need to understand that uh, as a person, you may be a logically driven person, or you could be a creative driven person. Even otherwise, your logical brain and creative brain is working simultaneously. It all depends on your focus. Which one are you aware and focusing on? And then which one are you using to drive your actions? And which one are you using to align your actions? That's all it takes. So in essence, you need to understanding adaptability in EQ language is using the left brain approach and right brain. Now, the left brain approach is giving you some structured plans to cope with stress. So that is how you can maintain the productivity and focus through logical thinking. The right brain is allowing you to stay emotionally aware, using mindfulness techniques to manage stress and remain adaptable. Now, what are the pros and cons if you do that? You become resilient. Okay, you're going to strengthen ability to bounce back from stressful situations. Naturally, when a person is able to use both these blend of data, they can quickly arrive at a conclusion. They can motivate, they can energize themselves, either using the logical data, because they can clearly see through this is not the end of the world, so they will bounce back. Or, okay, this has happened, but I know a way out, so they will bounce back. Right? If it is a relationship, maybe they are ready to accept and then willing to move forward. So that is how the resilience occurs. But if a person is full of resistance, they are not able to adapt, they cannot bounce back because they get stuck, they are stubborn. They want to be in that comfort zone. So it is important to strengthen that resilience muscle in you through adaptability. In fact, we started off the series with resilience, logical, emotional, and then resilience for parent, business entrepreneur, different angle. Now you see, I'm in the 64th episode and still be talking about the first set of skills that we discussed. So every skill that we are discussing in this 100 episodes is all interconnected. You just cannot say a standalone adaptability alone is important for me in, when dealing with emotional intelligence. No, it's a combination of a lot of skills, talents actually. Then being adaptable is also giving you that coping mechanism, flexibility in responses, helping uh, manage challenges more effectively. Then it is also helping you reduce the burnout risk. Okay, adaptability lowers the chances of being overwhelmed. Now, adaptable situations adapt during the changes. That is where adaptability is needed. If there is no change, maybe the routine is still effective for you. But suppose you're not able to achieve the goals, is when you need to look for what can be changed, what can be adapted. Until such time, everything is going good, you don't need to change. Now, so the benefits of adaptability is also that it lowers the chances of being overwhelmed. A person who is full of resistance, they are only going to get stressed because they'll be a problem for themselves and they will be a problem for others in many situations. So it is bare minimum that you don't be a problem for your growth. That can happen only when you have that less friction lie in you. If your brain is not, that is why it is important to be. I always give this example of, imagine this is my right side and this is my left side, and imagine this is a bubble. When I'm operating, let's say I have a strength in my right side brain. I'm good with people, and I can energize. I get motivated. I have a spark of creativity in me. So that way, let's see, this is my strength. What if I overdo on this? I'm going this far ahead. And then I'm resisting to take this logical data. Maybe it is telling me, you know what, you're going too far ahead. Use this objective approach because we're losing out on money. We're losing out on time. Then I'm feeling so uncomfortable here. I start believing that it is working for me. Then this brain is saying, no, no, you will eventually fail it if you don't quickly come back to me. So it is important to rewire your brain to that awareness. And that can only happen through awareness. So that when you come to your midbrain is when you can take the blend of both the data. And only when you're operating in your midbrain, taking both the blend of data, that is when you can actually take wise decisions. right? We can take care of your well-being, also others' well-being. Because only in the midbrain, a person is actually, functionally working. Not too much of energy spill out, or time, or effort, or money, or resources getting spilled out, because you are just doing what is necessary without any resistance. A person who's in the far end, either in the right brain or in the left brain, they're full of resistance. They cannot see. They're always trying to ignore, or they don't want to look at it. So it's going to take a lot of time for them to rewire and come to the midbrain. So that way, please make sure that it doesn't give you a burnout risk. And you also have to remember, when you go to the right side thinking that this is your strength, maybe you're very good with adaptability. As a mother, we adapt very quickly. As a woman, starting from our marriage time, in our culture, we are tuned to the power of adaptability. So a woman from a traditional family goes to another family after getting married, they are naturally tuned, physically, mentally, emotionally, they are tuned. So, and then they are so tuned, the same woman, after she takes on various roles like a young mother or a wife and daughter-in-law and a career woman, they take into their roles so much that adaptability itself is becoming a um, killer for their own self well-being, because they fail to take care of themselves. They don't know how to set boundaries. They override on their own boundaries. They tend to be a yes person to everything, everybody around them, every time around them. So it is only leading them to burnout and also emotionally fatigue. Okay, constant adaptation during stress can be emotionally exhausting, especially during stress time. You need to be isolating yourself. When I say yourself, it's not physically, but you need to isolate yourself with that of the problem. Only then you can deal with the problem. But if you're too caught up by adjusting in that same loop, you will be fatigued. And after fatigueness, it's only burnout. And for you to come out of burnout, it's going to take a lot of time. So that is why these sessions, okay? I've been in burnout twice for various reasons, physically, mentally, emotionally, at different stages, different reasons. But it's a slow, gradual thing, But when when you hit that burnout, it's going to take a lot of time to bounce back. So in the 15 years time, I've gone into burnout twice. And it's good amount of realization, because I've seen myself in the exhaustion. I can immediately sense whenever my body is feeling exhausted, the threshold is gone already. So it's not helping me to sustain it, right? Unlike the previous times, even the age factor and a lot of situations around you, because physically one thing, emotionally another thing, mentally another thing, right? So I'm right now can see that three dimensions separately in me as different entities. So we need to take care of physical resilience, emotional resilience, and mental resilience equally. And that is why in my community, I have something called 21 days resilience building challenge for women. So people who did this are all busy moms like me. You may ask, 21 days, how can I do this, right? But people who did it, the champion moms who did it, even for them, it is, even when I did it also, it was tough for me. But I am on the 50th week of completing the resilience building. So I did not stop with it only 21 days. So I'm taking care of my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs, so that my values, my goals, everything is contained, and I am really living. Sometimes it could be really bad. Life takes over, and always ups and downs are there. But how the resilience only means how fast can you bounce back to be able to navigate adversities very easily and gracefully, not exerting too much, not getting into burnout, even through your passion, because sometimes your own emotions can be driving you so over resilient that you will get into burnout. And especially as a mother, as a woman, we are like, we take everything on our plate. We want to be in all parties, and we cannot leave our responsibilities to anybody. We don't want to delegate. We want to be there. We are very perfectionist, and we cannot break through the perfection syndrome. But that is where you have to use the power of adaptability to break through all that resistance. Okay, so that you don't get overwhelmed by changes as well. Frequent shifting may also lead you to feelings of instability. If you're okay with everything, you know, once you fix your goal, you can choose your route. But then even in that route, so typically how I said is, in this 100 days. If you start jumping in, one day it is working and one day you're not going to be working, that inconsistency itself will give you that instability. So we need to stick with something. When you have your vision, the vision could be same. You cannot change your vision, but you can change your route. That again, that route also, you need to give it some time to keep it working, right? When you put that seed needs time and patience and faith for it to nurture and grow. Only then you can see whether that is grown with a good crop or not before even you decide to change it. If you start keep on digging the seed and putting that seed in another place, it's not going to grow. So similarly, short-term focus. So it'll only give you a short-term focus. You won't be able to gain the long-term ones. Adapting constantly may hinder the long-term focus as well. All right. Now, importance of it, simple is, suppose you don't have this ability. Now you're going to risk of feeling overwhelmed, unable to cope with stress. During the stressful times, you need to be able to navigate and keep moving. You just cannot be stuck. Why would a person be stuck? Because either they don't have clarity, they don't know the direction, they don't have support, or internally they're very stubborn. That is all it can happen. Suppose you don't have that stubbornness or that friction in you, that resistance in you, then it is easy to handle that stress with resilience, staying productive, and finding new opportunity. Statistically, also, 75% of highly adaptable individuals experience less stress and more job satisfaction. All right. So who needs this? Typically, professionals facing increased demands or workplace changes due to crisis, parents managing family responsibilities and personal stresses during tough times, adapting to business challenges, market changes, or economic turndowns. And then workplace adaptability. You're going to identify challenge, recognize the stressor or change in the work environment. You're going to adjust priorities, relocate resources, and focus on critical tasks. And then communicate also. Keep your teammate informed on every changes during the transaction. It definitely builds the trust and bond. And because of the trust, that emotional aspect, people drive their performance. I, I've seen it happening when we are working as a team. The team synergy, that energy itself will drive performance of all the other people. Even though there is logically, you may not see the goal can be achieved, but magically it can happen. That is when the team synergy should happen. And power of adaptability is very, very important from each and every individual. So for which you need to be able to identify the challenge, first of all, what you need to be changing on, and then adjusting the priorities, especially as a team, everybody has to adjust. And then be communicative, constantly communicative, and evaluate and adjust. Suppose there is no communication. What happens is it'll be a one person, what do you call, one man led army, right? That may work in certain environment, but in a collaborative approach, it has to be communicative, even within the family. If you start communicating with each of the members, having an open communication or an informed choices, right? If you can prepare your child, if there's going to be any changes, maybe change of school or change of location, um, change in anything. If you can communicate to your child, you know they will also fall on track very easily. They will have a less tantrums about it because they kind of own it. They've been informed about it. Now in this day and age, information is wealth, right? We all want to be informed prior. So similarly, communicate. And then adaptability in parenting, have a flexible routines, adjust the routines accordingly. One is to have strict routines, but another way to deal with this, have that flexibility in discipline as well. Have it as a positive reinforcement instead of having that as a very strict methodology. Then communication, I just told you, open dialogue with children about changes, very, very important. Self-care, maintaining personal well-being to stay adaptable, supportive network, lean on family and friends when it is needed. Women, we don't generally ask for help, but it is important in this fast-paced environment, and especially when highly competitive and everybody is rushing, right? We tend to lose the lot of human connections. Nobody has time to even listen to anybody. Even otherwise, we don't want to delegate. We don't want to let go a lot of things on our plate. So it is important to ask. Only when you ask, people don't have telepathic ability, right? Only when you ask, they're going to understand, right? You will get support. And then you should also have a supportive network. You need to have a like-minded people for accountability. See, most of the goals cannot be achieved because the secret sauce is, missed out, especially in this day and age. If you want to work on any goal, even it could be your own individual goal. You may be a mom, full-time mom. You may be working on your goal, but as you're going to be doing for your family only. So why not take your spouse support? So have that accountability created. Then you will see with ease and grace, you will follow through. But if you're going to be working isolated on your own, it's going to be tough, right? It's not that you cannot be self-motivated. Even for self-motivation, there is a threshold. You definitely need an external motivation factors, right? You need a combo of everything. How much of it you need is what you have to decide. Then health and wellness as well. It is important to have adaptability infused in your health and wellness because it is very dynamic from person to person. You're going to assess your current state, evaluate your health and stress levels, then realistic goals, create achievable health objectives, adjust routines accordingly, and then monitor progress as well. Then about financial ability, adaptability. First, assessing your reviewing financial situation, identifying stresses, planning your budget accordingly, and then adjust. Again, adjusting is accepting and adapting. Okay. Reviewing as well. So you need to know whether you're going in the right direction or not. Again, if you're not, then again, once again, adjusting has to happen. That again has to happen from assessing, right? Assessing, planning, and adjustment. Reviewing. Again, it goes like a cycle. Then in relationship, you're going to have an open communication because when you share feelings and concerns openly with your partner or family members, it creates that bond, that necessary, it'll be less friction. Okay. And then you can also aim for emotional support. You're going to offer and seek support during stressful times. And you will understand that will help you maintain the connections as well. I'm going to lower my light. Okay. Then for flexibility, okay, you're going to be willing to adjust expectations and routines to accommodate changing needs. Now we're going to be talking about hacks or shortcuts. Okay. Anybody can use it. It's just going to help you do that because we are going to be talking about left brain, right brain, and both the brains hack. So people who are good with the left brain, logic brain approach, maybe they want to tap into the right brain so they can activate using these hacks. The other way around. Okay. So the first one is for your left brain. You're going to exercise adaptability muscle by focusing on what you can control. If you can have a list, okay, we're starting the new year. If you can have a list of what is in your control, what is cannot be or not in your control, there could be many things, external factors, like it could be natural calamities, it could be government regulation, it could be political issues, it could be tax related ones, or it could be something related to somebody else, right? Company policies or promotion for that matter. It's still not in our control. What we can only do is perform, right? According to that, uh, bylaws and performance goals. But over and above, it could be a budget reduction. So we never know that some things cannot be in our control. On that note, what you're going to do is find out what is in your control, and then for that list of items, you're going to identify the controllable factors. You're going to list out aspects of that situation which can be influenced or managed. If you found 90% cannot be in your control, there is no way, there's no use of you spending your energy and time over there, right? Then you're going to let go of uncontrollables as well. So if you have found out there are something which is not in your control, what you're going to do is you're not going to be resisting towards that. You're not going to break your heads there. You're just going to let it go. Okay. I know it's tough, uh, tougher than saying, but it is what it is. Only when you let go is when you get peace, you get the time bandwidth to concentrate on what is more priority in your list. Recognizing and accepting those elements beyond your control is the first thing. And then when you accept the fact, obviously the next one is action taking towards the favorable ones. Then logical step is to take action. So you're going to focus energy on areas where you can make a difference. Then comes practicing mindfulness, right? So a lady is actually in midst of the traffic. She's practicing mindfulness. So I don't want you to do that, but you're going to start with small things. Okay. Begin with very, very short and daily mindfulness exercises because it keeps you centered. We're talking about stress, adaptability in stress. Unless you're able to regulate that stress, that triggers, that pain, it could be something which is not in your control. You need to work on yourself by letting go. But still, there is an impact of that stress, right? It hurts. There could be some wound or hurt. So we're going to let go of that also. How do we do that? We're going to practice mindfulness and also the previous left brain logical approaches to focus on the ones which are in your control still, so that you can be grateful and you can start working on it because that could be your strength. So the second one is mindfulness, and how you're going to do is you're going to start small. Maybe use breathing techniques, because the more you do that breathing, it makes you calm and grounded, right? With that peace, you will be able to focus better. And then you can be present, focus on the current moment and not in the past or future worries. Okay, if you're stuck in past, you are getting stressed out, more stressed out, or stuck. You're not able to move. When you're focusing on future, you're getting into anxiety. Neither of it is good. It's best to be in the current moment. At least you will get some breathing to understand what you need to do, what steps you need to take, the next one. Then you'll have to practice this regularly, because anything and everything just being, I know, going through this episode, it's not going to help you unless you put this in practice. Then comes setting achievable goals. Now that you know what is in your control and not in your control, you can also practice mindfulness to stay in present to handle that particular problem in context. Sometimes we overgeneralize, right? There could be some problem, but during stress, our mind clouds, our brain gets clouded with judgment. So it's not able to judge clearly as well. So it is going to take everything as pervasive. It's like make you feel that everything is a problem. Maybe something is not actually creating a problem. You become a problem there by yourself. So you need to use this logical brain to focus on what is control, what is not. So it's going to dissect and give you, break down the complexity in you. And also you're going to set achievable goals. Okay, now this is in my control, but still I will have it as a goal. So by breaking down these challenges, you can divide those larger tasks into manageable steps and then make it a smart one. So smart meaning specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and with time bound. Then you will know it is achievable. If there is no specification, it is going to be vague. For example, your objective for this year is to, within 3 months, you want to make a weight loss. But that's a vague statement. If you're very clear, in 3 months' time, I want to lose 10 kgs. So that is, okay, 10 kgs may not be, manageable for some people. But for people, in the initial 5 kgs is very easy. But after that, plateau kicks in. So let's take 5 kgs in 3 months. It's very, very manageable and workable. So 5 kg in 3 months is a little more specific, and it is measurable and achievable, relevant, time bound. I gave you 3 months time. Now you can still go specific about it. For me to lose 5 kgs in 3 months, I'm going to be doing 20 minutes exercise. Now this is even more specific. Now you can also measure it. Have you done 20 minutes exercise every day? Because you can go back and change your routine and adjust and accordingly. You can still more be specific by adding diet to it. So there you go. Can be more smarter than uh, you can imagine. And then you're also going to celebrate the progress, because the brain needs that dopamine. You need to keep on, that is why I always, in the previous episodes, we spoke about when we are talking about brain skills, it is important to understand what brain demands and accordingly use that hacks. Okay. If you go resist towards that, then it's not going to help you, work towards your goals. So we're going to hack that, right? Brain demands instant gratification. So what you're going to do is, some people, we become so over resilient as a woman, we don't want to celebrate, right? We know it's going to take time and it's going to spending money on it. Why even go to a dinner? We can might as well order it and then have. No, celebrate it, right? Go for that shopping, splurge on it. Have your me time, relax, and you will know the brain has actually got gratified. So then now the brain is registering that it likes it. So it will help you achieve that kind of a goals again and again. Okay, these are all hacks. Now, again, this is your right brain. You're going to leverage your support system. You're going to ask your friends to share. If you have any concerns, you're going to share with them, seek advice from trusted friends. It's totally okay to ask for help, because you're not the only person going through this problem. You will find out that it's a common problem. And thereby, a lot of stress is actually reduced when you actually open up. And on top of it, you're able to get the right direction and advice from a trusted resource. You feel fulfilled. You feel reassured. And you maybe could have solved the problem itself, right? Thereby, again, leaning on family members for emotional support and practical help is the best thing that you can do. Make your family itself as friend, the first person that you can seek. So that way, if you have instilled some value systems in your family, like open communication, fairness, sharing responsibilities and all that, then it is easier for us to reduce that stress. Okay. But that can happen only when you are able to adapt. Because when you don't adapt and you expect other members to adapt, it's not going to happen. Then, if you don't have either of it, then you can always approach professionals like coaches, counselors, right? For everything, in fact, um, it is advisable to have, I have for certain areas of my life, for financial advices, for emotional intelligence as a coach myself. I've also learned it from somebody. And for my business, I am under a mentorship constantly for last 4, 5 years, right? Ups and downs could be there, but it is important to be under some coaching and mentorship always. For every domain of life, in fact, it is needed. And even for your fitness or health, or for your self-care, and for your networking, either it is business, work goals, or personal goals, it is important. Okay. Then about both the brains, maintaining flexible routine. See, having a routine is your left brain because it becomes an autopilot. Now, before the routine happens, it's a change by itself. Now, for that, to address that change only, we are fixing some routines. Now, once that change is accepted, the routine is coming. You also have to be flexible in your routines. That is your both the brains. One, you're applying the logic to create a structure. That is how you're bringing some routine. Now, in that routine itself, you're also going to be flexible, because sometimes the routine needs some changes. You need to review. You need to understand whether it is serving the purpose or not. It could be your own routine or for others. You're going to establish the core habits, create that foundation of essential daily practices, and allow that variability to happen, because life takes over. When you are a parent, you may see a growth in your child, like from a toddler to preteen to teenager, young adult. Similarly, you also go through. We all go through changes biologically, hormonally, physically, mentally, emotionally, and we pass through different stages of life. That is why relationship is an evolving thing, and so it is for parenting. So we need to build in some room for unexpected changes or challenges, whether it is process related or people related, and have that regular review. Even at work, don't feel that once it is set, the project deadlines is there, the structure is there, SOPs are there, people know exactly what they need to do because the routine is there and they are getting efficient. Don't stop with that. Maybe they are compromising, right? They have gone past their boundaries because to make sure that the goal is, achieved. But you need to be understanding their emotional impact of it, because they cannot sustain with that kind of emotional challenges in them. So maybe they are stressed out. So we need to be having that check-in, right? That is why both the brains. Then my favorite section, where we're going to be talking about a case study, a personality who are very famous, relevant, and familiar for this kind of success stories. And here is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, um, I would say a veteran cricketer who has gained us the World Cup back after 20 years. Um, it is important that to acknowledge he's called as Captain Cool because of his ability to maintain that calmness even during stressful moments. Imagine we're getting the World Cup for after decades. Okay, after 1983, we won it only in 2000, 13. So on that note, we would like to know how this person was able to do that with ease and effort. So when you are talking about emotional intelligence, I think is a cool example of, I'm just trying to understand when did we um, won this cup, right? Okay, so I think India won the World Cup in 2011 after the 1983 Cup. So almost 2 decades, right? So we were all, the entire world, the entire nation of India were keeping eyes on our captain, right? Because he's the one who's leading. he has to decide a lot of things. So in the previous episodes, we saw how is you know, critical thinking really helped him, and there are a lot of other episodes we have touched upon his other abilities. But today, when we are talking about power of adaptability and flexibility, I was intrigued to understand, as a man who stood there to, you know, handle the heat of at that moment of time when it is supposed to be a World Cup winning match, and you're in the eyes of the entire world, you know, routing for India to whether or not India will carry the you know, World Cup again. It was a tribute for another veteran cricketer called Sachin Tendulkar. We all loved that, you know, Master Blaster. So we wanted to also give that tribute for all these players, and how are they going to you know, exhibit their talents. So it is all we were all expecting, and then he did it with this you know, sheer abilities. So I was intrigued to understand his brain skills always, and then when I did some case studies for this power of adaptability, I could understand his strategic decision making again has made him adjust the game plans, because right at the last over he had to do a lot of adjustment. By picking up the bowler for the last over is very, very critical for the leader. How did he arrive at it? So, you know, there could be a lot of things that we can talk about the cricketer abilities in terms of their decision making power. But I'm not a cricketer myself. I only watch. I relish by watching them. But on that note, he, you know, tend to adjust game plans based on situational analysis, showcasing his left brain adaptability. More than that, he has a thorough analysis of his team players as well. He not only knows his own strength and weaknesses, he also knows about his players' strength and weaknesses. Only then he was able to strategically decide on the bowlers and batsmen. Now, there's also another component about this person. We call him a cool captain because of his emotional capability. As to how he was able to, you know, even now, I've not seen him lose his control in any of these, you know, interviews. So we just love him for that, you know, mentality and contemporary, you know, temperament that he carries on the field and off the field. So his emotional stability is only indicating that his calm demeanor under pressure demonstrates right brain emotional regulation skills excellent, exceptionally well. So I think he's a classic testimonial for us to know how do we handle ourselves during stress, and how do we use our flexibility in our thinking and in our action during the stressful times. Okay. I would definitely love to adapt his skill set, right? So if you also have these questions, like if you want to even adapt, and if you have other questions like, do you stay calm and flexible in difficult situations? Maybe we get inspired, but are we actually be able to stay calm? And are we flexible in our difficult situations? How well do we plan, adjust our plans, tweak our plans based on our goals? Like you can have an individual goal or you can have a team goal. How are we able to adjust based on the unexpected challenges? And do you even concentrate on controllable factors during stressful situation, or do you take it as a all pervasive components and get more stuck? Right? If you have these questions in your mind, I would suggest, you know, build your adaptability skills. You know, have the self-awareness going on. You need to know so much of yourself to recognize that stressors responses in you, trigger points, what ticks you off, what ticks you on, and be able to mindfully practice on that regulation techniques. Have a flexible planning and have a continuous learning. Okay, embrace that new skills and perspectives. Even for learning, there has to be adaptability infused, right? You need to upgrade yourself. You need to be okay to learn and upgrade. Accept that fact that market is churning on, especially after AI is disrupted. If you're a college graduate, you need to be able to upgrade. Even when you're in your career, you need to be able to, for your progression in your career, you need to upskill yourself constantly. As a business entrepreneur, we have to constantly upskill ourselves what is happening in the market and based on our customer, you know, expectations. So with this, even then, if you still have questions, of course, as an individual, I'll have a lot of questions. But with pertaining to this episode, I'm going to give you a tool. Okay. In fact, for all these 100 episodes, I'm creating a self-assessment questionnaire. This will help an individual to assess whether they do have this current strength, you know, the current skill set or talent that we are discussing as their strength or not. If they do find a missing gap, they will, you know, when they fill in the questionnaire, They will have, for each questions, there's a score attached to it. You can figure out whether you've answered correctly or not. For those answers which you have not correctly filled, that means it's an area of improvement. And there'll be 2, 3 tips under that. So the questionnaire itself could be an awareness sessions for you. So imagine for all 100 episodes, you're getting this kind of a questionnaire. You can take it at any point of time, any number of times also, because it's going to come on to your email ID personalized. Even I will not know what's happening in your question format. Okay. But for you to avail this, all I only want is register your learnings as a comments, because only then I will spot who is a sincere learner. Because for sincere learner, I'm going to be giving this tool as free of cost, totally free of cost for lifetime. Imagine for 100 episodes, for all these 100 talents that we are doing. Because when you're talking about adaptability, it's just not, it is one talent by itself. I understand. But, you know, as a parent, for me, the adaptability angle could be different. I will not like to know what is happening with the business entrepreneur. How are they adapting? Or if it's a leader, I don't want to know how they are, doing. I want to know how I want to adapt as a parent. So that is why every episode is exclusive. And for each and every episode, we'll be creating this kind of quiz, right? It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to, use up a lot of logistics in terms of resources, space and time and efforts. So for which there is a cost behind it. But I'm going to give it to you free of cost. If only you show your dedications in terms of, sharing your comments, your insights as comments, that will inspire me. And I just need your email ID. The moment you register and you give your email ID, I'll give you the free coupon code. With that, you can register. The link is given in the description. Okay. And apart from that, we also have a workshop for exclusive for women, because all these while we've been talking about brain skills, right? By awareness and theory. But over there in workshop, you're going to be opening up a AI-driven brain style reports. So I will exactly tell you, this is your report, meaning this is a sample report, and this is how you're going to be treating your brain styles. And from there on, how do you match your communication with the other person with a different brain style? So you don't have to expect everybody to have a report, right? But when you know your own brain style report, you'll be able to better communicate with other brain styles. They don't have to know their brain styles, but you will identify. And I will also tell you how you can identify your own brain styles in that workshop. Okay. With that, there are other free resources available. Obviously, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, so that you will get notified whenever it's going to occur. And I'm also doing the podcast for all these episodes. So, in a different format, a very short version of it, on the fly, on the go, you can listen to it. And subscribe to my LinkedIn, Substack. You will find a lot of articles on emotional intelligence. Okay. But remember, stress is a neutral factor of life, part of life. You don't have to run away from it, because anyway, it's going to be um, onto you at some point of time if you don't address it, if you don't regulate it. But adaptability gives you that strength to handle it, to navigate it, okay, with ease and grace. That is why resilience is important, adaptability important, critical thinking is important. In fact, all these skill set, whatever we've been discussing, I would highly recommend you to go through all these episodes if you haven't already. You will understand everything is interconnected. Okay, by staying flexible, you're not only addressing the obstacles, you're also turning that obstacles into opportunities. And if you find this kind of episode resonated well with you, as I told you in the beginning, give me that love button, press that love button, like button for me, and also show your comments as, that'll be a great inspiration for me to move forward. And don't forget to share it with somebody. Maybe they are in the, they are feeling the pressure right now. They needed to hear this. Okay. Don't miss to do that.